Although Falun Gong's spread was touching people's heart and benefiting the nation and its citizens, in 1996 Vice Minister of the Central Ministry Propaganda, Xu Guangchun, seeking political gains for himself, summoned to a meeting the editors-in-chief of the 10 major newspapers run by the Central Committee, and ordered to publish an article maligning Falun Gong. Afterward, the present publication administration under the Central Ministry of Propaganda, violating the policy of 3 no's, prohibited the publication of all Falun Gong's books. However, by that time, there were adherents of Falun Gong working at almost every major newspaper. And in the Ministry of Public Security, notably many chiefs and directors of the Public Security Bureau, and Public Security Department in various cities, were practicing Falun Gong. The relevant government's offices received hundreds of thousands of letters of support, from the public describing what Falun Gong was all about. The attempted 1996 suppression of Falun Gong thus fizzled out before it got out off ground. Luo Gan then attempted twice, one in 1997 and again in 1998, to suppress Falun Gong, on the ground that it was a heretic cult. This was not because, notably, Falun Gong had done something wrong. Instead, it was because Luo had been appointed the secretary of the Commission on Political and Legal Affairs, which was about as high of a rank as he could reach at the time. And as such, he needed to do something impressive, if he wishes to gain further promotion. Just as servicemen are most esteemed in times of war, Luo wanted to muddy the water of his country, so that he himself as the secretary of the Commission on Political and Legal Affairs would become the political focus of things. He ordered the regional public security department to collect evidence. Agents were sent to the practice sites of Falun Gong. They studied the Falun Gong's main text Xuan Falun as planted agents. But Falun Gong, as a rule, has no secret to hide. Its activities were open, and the public was welcomed. Persons came and left freely, with no registration or membership fee involved. Many of the planted agents, in fact, decided to take up the practice for real. Luo grew worried that evidence incriminating Falun Gong was not turning up. It was at this time that he learned that those charged with overseeing Qigong in the Ministry of Public Security typically knew a lot about Qigong, and many were themselves practicing it. It turned out the relevant persons in charge wouldn't implement his orders. Luo had begun as early as 1996 to restructure the Ministry of Public Security. He transferred to other department all of those who were handling Qigong affairs, and those who were knowledgeable about Qigong. The 2 investigations conducted by Luo did, however, have some severe adverse consequences for Falun Gong in some areas. For example, the Public Security Bureau in Jiang City, Liaoning Province, issued in 1998 a certain document number 37, entitled Notice on Forbidding Illegal Activities of Falun Gong. The item was sent to its subsidiary public security branches. Some of Falun Gong's volunteer helpers were fined multiple times, with total fines over 4,000 yuan. No receipt or only unofficial receipts were given. More than 40 people went to the Ministry of Public Security to petition authority on the matter. More than 1,000 persons submitted joint complaints to Chaoyang Public Security Bureau, on the ground that the Bureau's actions were unlawful, and violating citizens' rights. In other areas, such as Xinjiang, Heilongjiang, Hebei, and Fujian provinces, local public security officers used force to disperse people who had gathered in public to do the exercises of Falun Gong. They unlawfully ransacked adherents' homes, broke into private residences, and confiscated personal properties. Upon learning of what Luo had done, Zhu Rongji had reprimanded Luo, criticized him for using the most advanced spy tactics to deal with common people, instead of focusing on more major and serious matters. Luo was quite dejected by this. Unremorseful, Luo backed on his good relationship with Jiang Zemin, and dared to withhold a positive memo on Falun Gong written by Zhu Rongji, stopping it from being passed on to subsidiary departments. The State Sports Administration carried out a comprehensive investigation of Falun Gong in May of 1998. The survey found that overall Falun Gong was effective in improving the health and fitness level of 97.9% of those involved. And it had achieved remarkable results in improving society's stability and moral ethics. During the same period, an investigation conducted by non-governmental organizations in Dalian City, Beijing, and other places, arrived at similar results. In 1998, several retired senior officials of the National People's Congress, with Cao Shi as the head, launched their investigation into Falun Gong. The investigation concluded that Falun Gong has many benefits, and does nothing to harm the state or the people. It was submitted to the Politburo headed by Jiang Zemin. In February of 1999, a major magazine in the United States, U.S. News & World Report, ran an article that quoted a Chinese government source as saying that Falun Gong could save each person 1,000 yuan in annual medical fees. If 100 million people were practicing it, 100 billion yuan would be saved per year in medical fees. Premier Zhu Rongji said very happily, the country could use the money right now. By early 1999, media outlet in China stated in their fitness reportage that 100 million people were practicing Falun Gong. The book Zhuan Falun was translated into many foreign languages, and was being read in 30 countries and territories around the world. Many persons of non-Chinese descent traveled thousands of miles to China to learn Chinese, just so that they could read the original Chinese text of Zhuan Falun. The Chinese culture, despite its experiences in modern times, once again, spread to the world. The 1999 Tsinghua Alumni Union happened to be on April 25, the day 10,000 followers of Falun Gong gathered in a demonstration at the State Letter and Complaint Bureau near Zhongnanhai. Hu Jintao and his wife saw the dramatic scene on their way back to Zhongnanhai from the alumni party. Worrying about a possible crackdown, Hu right away passed on words to his former classmate, Falun Gong practitioner, Jiang Mengye, to be careful. In 1995, Jiang Zemin began to promote his theory of so-called three represents. Few, if any, really took it seriously. By contrast, however, Jiang could find the Falun Gong's guiding book Zhuan Falun just about everywhere. And he knew the number of Falun Gong practitioners had been growing at a torrid pace. From time to time, somebody, in Jiang's presence, would express admiration for Master Li's noble character and exemplary conduct. This was a lot for Jiang Zemin's ego to handle.